Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am talking about probably one of the most important things that I need to talk about on this channel, which is basic psychic protection. So I'm going to be talking about when you need to protect yourself, why you need to protect yourself, and kind of like the order of how you do these things so that before and after you do intuitive work, you have a clear routine or clear ritual that you do to basically make sure that you are protected. So if you're interested in developing your psychic abilities and you want to do it in a healthy way, please subscribe. All of the videos on my channel, I am about teaching you guys how to develop your psychic skills and really understand it and do it correctly and do it and make sure that you are protecting yourself. Now in my course, Basic Psychic Skills, I go over this way more in depth, but I feel like this is kind of the one thing that I do want to give the free information out on because it's so important that you guys are doing this and feeling protected. I do have a video on like how not to use my channel, and I talk about like if you're having bad experiences, don't use my videos. That's super important. You want to make sure that you are protected when you are doing this work. So when do we want to protect ourselves? You basically want to protect yourself when you're doing any sort of intuitive work, before and after. And the important thing here is that you are making sure that nothing is in your energy that is not yours. And that could be spirits, negative spirits. It could be people that have passed, just spirits in general, that could be following you around afterwards. It can also be just other people's energy. When you open up your intuition, you're kind of sensing other people's stuff. And you don't want to be carrying their stuff with you throughout the rest of your day or your week or your month. So it's very important to kind of cleanse your energy, cleanse your aura, whatever you want to call it, before and after you do any sort of intuitive work. And this can be just exercises. This doesn't necessarily mean you're only doing it if you're reading other people. It's like if you're about to do some automatic writing, if you're about to do some dreaming work, if you're about to do a reading for yourself or for someone else. Honestly, anytime you're just tapping into your intuition and turning your psychic ability on, you want to make sure that you go through these steps. Now the thing is I skip these steps in a lot of my videos because if I did it in every single video, it would make the video so long. So I always say like, here it is, this is where you should be doing those steps, but I assume you know what you're doing and then I kind of move on. And I realized that I've got tips and things here and there in a lot of videos, but I needed to kind of make one concise video, so this is it. Just remember though, if you are not having good psychic experiences, if you are attracting negative things and having a hard time, do not keep doing any exercises. Your first goal should be to turn off your ability, set your boundaries, and let nothing in. And then as soon as you feel like you have control over turning it on and turning it off, then you can start getting into psychic work again. Now, if you are really struggling with boundaries or protection, be sure to pay attention to all the cards and the links down below in this description. I'm going to kind of give you guys everything. So I'm going to link you to old videos where I go more in depth on like a certain thing that I say in this video. I'm also going to link the playlist that I have, which is all around everything protection, everything boundaries. This is hopefully going to be like the main video of it, but there's a lot of other little exercise videos that I have in there. If you're still feeling like you're struggling, definitely check out my course though. And I'm also going to link some books down below for highly sensitive people, empaths. You can go look at those links and see if any of those books stick out to you. Those are the ones like I recommend the most if you're really struggling with boundaries. So let's go over the 3 major steps. Now, obviously, you do these in order when you're starting work. So you go 1, 2, 3. And then when you are finishing your work, you go 3, 2, 1. And I'll go through both ways. But the first thing you want to do is set your boundaries. The second thing you want to do is set your intention. And the last thing you want to do is turn on or turn off your ability. So let's start with boundaries. Boundaries, and there's a lot of words for all of these things, which can be like hard. Some people will call like setting your boundaries grounding, but I don't quite necessarily see it that way. I think of grounding more as disconnecting, and I'll talk about that in a second. But boundaries is really protecting yourself. Like it's about you, it's about nothing else. And this is like your protective bubble to make sure that nothing can get into your energy and your space that is not of your highest and best good. Now you can do some grounding techniques here. I think grounding does help you set your boundaries. It helps you come back into your body a little bit more. But I just kind of call them boundary exercises. And one of the big things that a lot of people do is they smudge. So smudging the space makes people feel like they've cleared the space out, they've set their boundaries. You can do visualizations. You can imagine a bubble around the room. You can imagine your bubble, and you can either make the outer edges of your bubble more like permeable so things can come in and talk to you. Basically anything to set the boundary of like, this is my space where I'm doing work, where I'm allowing something to come in of my highest and best good to speak to me. And you can make that as big or as small as you want. And this can be as simple as an affirmation. You don't have to necessarily set a bubble if that doesn't resonate with you. It can simply just be, only beings of my highest and best good may speak to me when I'm doing this work. And that can be said out loud or in your head. There's all sorts of tools that you can use also. You can like smell oils. You can buy crystals that are made for like setting your boundaries. You can meditate with those crystals. Some people also have like medicine bags with like protection stones and protection items in them. And then the last thing you can do, and sometimes you'll see this with Reiki, is you can maybe do a sacred symbol. You could like draw it with your hand in front of you. You could draw it on a piece of paper. You could put it up like on your walls, and sort of set the intention that, okay, nothing's in this space now. The point of boundaries is to kind of set the area that you're in. It's not even like a physical place as much as this is who can be in my energy, and I'm allowing things to come in right now. Now, the second thing is intention. A lot of people also call this like setting your frequency, and this is all about who are you talking to. It's so important when you are about to do any sort of work that you're not talking to a negative spirit, you're not talking to negative energy, and so you always want to set the intention of, who am I talking to? And this could be a single spirit. This could be like your higher self. If you have one guide in particular that you know of, you can set it as them. If it's a spirit, you can set it as that specific spirit. But it can also be like a group of people. I want to talk to all of my guides. The key thing here is that you are saying that it's for your highest and best good. These beings, I'm going to connect to all my guides. I don't know who my guides are, but they are for my highest and best good. They have to be able to stand in this white light. So whenever I do like a seance or a spirit circle, I'll always say that out loud so that everyone in the group feels comfortable. And I'll say something to the effect of, only spirits that can stand in this white light that we created when we were setting our boundaries can be in this circle. If it's an animal you're talking to, also setting the intention that it's that animal. So how do you make sure you're connecting to that specific person or thing or entity? It's as simple as just like saying their name out loud in your head. You could write it down. You can say it 3 times. You can just visualize them in your head until you feel like they're strong and they're there with you. There's so many ways to do this, so it's really about like figuring out what works best. Just to show you like an example of the wrong way, like I did a Ouija board video on how to use it correctly, and the thing with this Ouija board is that most people pull it out and they don't set the intention of who they're talking to. They're just like, hey, anyone that's here that wants to talk to us, come talk to us. And so it can let in negative spirits, and we don't want to talk to them, obviously, because they don't have our highest and best good at interest, and they're not going to give us information that is the best for us. Also, just a side note, know with spirits, like loved one in spirit, they might not also have your best heart at interest. Best interest at heart, oh my gosh. But if you're talking to your higher self, if you are talking to a guide that is of your highest and best good, theoretically those messages that are coming through should be positive, uplifting messages that are for you. And my last rule before you start psychic work is to turn on your psychic ability. And this is important because you want to make sure that you're actually using your psychic ability and your intuitive mind, and you're not using your analytical left brain day-to-day sort of mind. Two examples that I have for turning on your psychic ability. One can literally just be that you visualize in your mind like turning on a switch. And this could be like your psychic switch, or it could be like a door in your mind that you like open and you like visualize doing that. And it can also just be a simple verbal affirmation. Any of these can just be verbal affirmations. And I believe that intention, if you have it, it's enough to do anything. It's enough to, as long as you believe in it. If you believe in the intentions that you're setting, if you believe that your boundaries are set, if you believe that you are only talking to this entity, and then you believe that your psychic ability is on, then it will be. But sometimes we need more ritualistic or objects to make us feel like we're actually like doing it a little bit more, and I think that's totally fine. The important thing is just that you're doing these things. So it can be a verbal affirmation of, I turn my psychic ability on right now. And you can say that again in your head, out loud. It's just that you have to believe it. You have to believe that it's working. And that's a lot of how the psychic ability works. If you don't believe in it, then it's not going to work. Now, after this is kind of like where I would insert like meditating or like centering, like doing any sort of like work to become present. And you'll see those videos in that playlist. Like that's where I would insert those. And that's about, okay, you've set everything, you've talked, or you've set who you're going to talk to, you set your boundaries, you turn your psychic ability on. Now it's time to quiet the mind. And so some people call that centering, some people call that grounding. Grounding is one of those that's just kind of like everyone uses it for everything. But centering is basically just getting out of that monkey mind, getting into a zone where you can receive psychic information. And then you can do your reading, you can do your exercise, whatever it is. And then let's say we're all done. And the important part is to go back through these steps backwards. And if I see so many people that will just like, they'll do the exercise, they'll get all excited, and then they'll just kind of like move on with their day. And we can't do that, because we absolutely have to make sure that we are protecting ourselves, that we're doing all the same thing in reverse. So what do? First, we turn off our psychic ability. And there's, again, exercises that you can do to turn it off. And it could just be that you do the reverse of whatever you did to start with. So like that door idea, you can go back in your mind and close the door. You can say out loud, my psychic ability is off. I'm not going to receive any more psychic information until I am ready to. Another fun one that I've seen done is people like literally shake the energy or brush the energy off of them. And this just makes them feel like they're physically cleaning their aura. And sometimes doing disconnecting exercises that are physical in nature, like going and putting your feet in the grass, can sometimes get you out of that right brain, because the right brain is definitely not like physical. It's like up here in your mind. So doing the opposite, like going and washing your hands, putting your feet in the grass, brushing off the energy, or even imagine like you have a sponge and you're sponging the energy off of you. Whatever it is that you want to do to sort of disconnect. Now, the intention part, I feel like you can sort of wrap up with the turning off your psychic ability. At the same time you're turning off your psychic ability, you're also in a way saying, I'm not talking to this entity anymore. But if you feel like you need to take that extra step, you can say, I'm not talking to this entity anymore. I'm not talking to any, period. The only people that can be in my energy field are me. Or is me. And then the last thing you want to do is set your boundaries again. You want to reset them. So remember when we set that bubble and how we kind of made it so, energy could come through our bubble? We want to do the opposite. Make that bubble firmer again. We want to, maybe put a protective layer around our house or the room, or say, okay, now nothing is allowed in. This is where I would say doing grounding exercises are the best. I feel like grounding is the best for disconnecting. And grounding, honestly, like my favorite is just like putting my feet in the grass, or imagining a cord like coming from my core and sending it down into Mother Earth and like wrapping it around Mother Earth. And the idea with grounding is that you're coming back to Earth. Whereas like if you're doing intuitive work, it's like the opposite. It's like you're reaching out, you're connecting to this universal energy to receive psychic information. You're connecting to a psychic source to receive information. And some people believe that you still need to be grounded while you do that. I think it's up to you. But I think grounding exercises are good when you are wrapping up, because it just brings you kind of back down to this reality. And so when you're going backwards through all these steps, I really call that like disconnecting. So if I ever use the words disconnecting, that's probably what I mean. But yeah, guys, that's basically it. You need to set all 3 of those going in, kind of undo them as you're going back out. And as long as you are doing that, believing that it works, you should be protected when you're doing psychic work. Now, again, if you are having any issues with these things, you need to stop. Don't go deeper. Don't go into this. Don't go into any psychic work if you are not in control over your boundaries. Like, that should be your first thing, is focusing on boundary setting and doing all sorts of exercises around it until you feel like you are totally in control. I'm curious which one of these you guys have the most difficulty with. Like, let me know in the comments down below. Again, remember to check out the extra playlists and the cards in this video if you're really feeling like you're stuck, and always come back to this video if you forget the order. Honestly, if you need to write it down like on a piece of paper, like a post-it note, even during your readings, like, it is okay to do that. You want to get to a point where you have memorized this and it comes so easily and quickly to you. Like, honestly, I don't even need to separate these out anymore. I kind of do it all at once, and it's like I get into my own little ritual, and sometimes I do all of this and it takes me like 20 seconds, if that. And you just get into a point where you understand and you feel like, okay, my boundaries are open, okay, my boundaries are closed, and it's really easy to get into it and get out of it. And that's kind of like one of the hardest things when you're first starting out is to get control over that. But as soon as you do, it makes it a lot easier to receive psychic information and focus on the other part of like receiving and what are your clairs and how does this work. But yeah, I hope that video helps. I try to upload a new video kind of every Friday, Saturday, and I also go live on my YouTube channel once a week, so check my schedule out for when I'm uploading new videos. I also have memberships, you guys. So I have member-only videos. I have member-only live nights. So if you're interested in that, check out my memberships and take advantage of those. Please subscribe if you haven't already yet, especially if you like psychic development tips. I have more videos coming your way. I literally have videos planned for like days and days and days. More than that, like months and years, honestly. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I want to make sure that you guys are protected and safe. It is so important to me. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.